Hi, I'm Jeff with Enjoy Our Yard. Once we get to fall and winter, there's not as much you can do out in your yard, so making a yard decoration might be something to consider. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a barn quilt out of pallet wood. First, you need a pallet. I was able to find this pallet for free. There's usually a source of them in your community, so if that's something that you can find, plus you can maybe be a little bit choosy. I like this one because there's quite a few boards on it, and the boards are all equal width. You'll find that becomes a very important part when you go to disassemble, which will be the next step. Okay, I have a circular saw, so I use that to cut the boards. I wasn't all that careful. There's really no need to take out the nails. The wood's going to be ruined anyway, and it just saves a lot of time. Doing it this way, I came up with 27 boards, although I did find a couple have cracks in them, so if you do have a crack, that's not going to be usable. But of those 27 boards that are good, the next step is you have to make sure the squares are square, which means when I went to cut them, I was able to get 3 per board. So 27 potential boards, 3 per board, that's more than enough. In the particular design I'm going to show today, I needed 49, so I would make maybe 50 some, just because you will need some extras, but 1 pallet certainly will be enough to make that project. All right, once you have your blocks that are square, I have a belt sander, so I was able to sand the front and the 4 edges so that they become smooth. When you put them together, you want to have them fairly smooth. The next step from there would be to prime it with something. These are going to be outdoors, so I wasn't too concerned because there will be paint over top of it, but it just gives you a nice base coat so that by the time this is all done, you can start your creative process. Okay, so now that you have your squares, I have a couple extra, sanding them, ready to be painted. I will attach a document that shows the pattern as well as the breakdown. Some of the squares are going to be taped that you only paint a part of it. So here we go. This surface area, I'm using it 7 by 7, and if you notice, I tried to alternate the grain of the wood. These 4 pieces here are going to become solid red. This is going to become the beak of the cardinal, so I've taped it. And then this is an example where I'm just using a diagonal. This is going to become blue. I'm finding that as I do this, because of the white background, it's good to put at least 2 coats so that the white doesn't bleed through. The next step after that will be to mount it and then hang it. Okay, so the next step is to attach it to a backing. This is the 4th one I've made. The very first one, I took the wood with wood glue and attached it to a piece of Luan wood. That lasted about 2 weeks. I tried to hang it like a picture, and between the picture and the wood, it actually began to warp, and within 2 weeks I had to take it down. I had a piece of subflooring from a bathroom tile job, so I figured that was waterproof. It was stiffer. I glued it to that, and that one seems to be holding, but it becomes very heavy. So the next 2 quilts that I made, I got a piece of plate glass, and I measured that about 28 by 24 so that I would have a little bit of extra, and that the quilt is sitting on basically a shelf. I use adhesive caulk, and that's worked pretty well. The glass is stiff. However, the one piece did crack a bit, but with all the glue, it's still staying together one piece. Today, we're going to try something different. Whenever you see those yard signs, especially after election, I went to our voting place, asked if I could have some, which they're very quick to offer. I took 2 of those to make it the square that I needed. I spliced them together. I put one horizontally and one vertically, and by using the adhesive caulk, I think it's going to make it stiffer. It's definitely lightweight, and it's waterproof. So the question now is going to be, will it last? So I've already glued these on. So with the adhesive caulk, put some on here, and I have the last two to do. The nice thing with the caulk, there's some pliability here, so I can move around to make sure they're nice and square. I'll probably put some weight on here so as it dries, it adheres very nicely. So this is our last step before we hang. Okay, so the last step is to mount it. So I have my original one, which this will be the third winter, so it's held up pretty well as far as the paint and being able to stay with the different elements. We have it on our shed so we can see it throughout the rest of our yard. Here's the one that I just completed, and this is on that corrugated plastic election sign basically. So to mount this one, what I've done was I made a shelf and painted it, because in making my other barn quilts, they're different sizes. Another one I had was 8 blocks across, so it's hard to, if you're going to make more than one of these, to make it wide enough and tall enough that you don't have to keep re-drilling into your building. So for me, I've tried to make a shelf, and then I put a spacer up here at the top just to help take up the extra space. So the difference so you can say which one is better. And if nothing else, you have some variety. This one, all the squares were the same. My original one, I actually cut each of the pieces as a separate, basically a triangle. So a little bit more work, but it makes it more of the pure quilt where each piece is separate. So have fun with it. Hope you liked watching this. It's not an easy project, but I think it's well worth it. Certainly if you make the next ones, could be even easier still. If you liked the video, please hit like or subscribe, and thanks for watching.